All right, Jimmy Culp. Hey, John, big fan since the AMC days. Hope all is well. I wanted to get your thoughts on a theory on the Avengers Endgame TV spot. I had heard a theory about Ultron being in the trailer. If you listen to the last line of "Not us," it is distorted. It doesn't sound like Cap. It does sound like Ultron. Is that possible? If so, thoughts. Thanks, and keep up the great work.
Rob, I got my first tweet about this, and I'm like, oh, come on, don't be silly. And then I got about 400 other tweets about it, and then people writing in on open mic and people writing in and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go back and let's do it again. So what he's talking about is, you know, during that Super Bowl spot, you hear Captain America saying, you know, we move on, blah, 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 blah. And then the final line, as you see the silhouette of the figures walking through, you know, Avengers headquarters, not us. And there are a lot of people out there, Robert, right now, who believe that is Ultron that says, not us, at the end. And I will say this. Does that sound clip have a little bit of that almost Ultron-esque distortion to the voice? And does it have that? It does. When you listen to it, it does. But when you take that out of it and just listen to the voice, that's Chris Evans. Like, I've listened to it about 30 or 40 times. And believe me, I love the character Ultron from Age of Ultron. James Spader. I would love to have James Spader back doing the voice of that again. I would love it. So I went back and listened to it 5, 10, 15, 20 more times, hoping that I could start to see it that way too. Because, you know, I didn't think in that silhouette shot of Thor, I didn't think that was Stormbreaker was holding. But then people kept saying it was. So I looked at it again and again and went, you know what? You guys are right. That is Stormbreaker. I was hoping to get that same experience with this, but there's no way. As much as I want to hear it, that's Chris Evans. That's Chris Evans. I don't know. You've watched this trailer a number of times too, Rob.
Yeah.
Any chance that's Ultron at the end?
No, I don't think so. I completely agree with you. It's Chris Evans. However, I will say this. So let's say you're a human being and half the world, half the people you love, half the people you've known in your whole life disappear. Basically, on our planet, they got raptured. Yeah. Earth is going to go bananas. Everybody left is going to go crazy. There'll probably be mass suicides and weird cults and wars and horrible stuff is going to happen in the wake of half the population. The Avengers can't control all of it. Well, what do they have at their disposal that they can use to perhaps quell some of the tide of the unrest? They have the Ultron Initiative. Banner's, you know, they've got the equipment. Probably wasn't that hard to get that manufacturing of those Ultron robots up and running. And maybe in an effort, a last-ditch effort for the Avengers to try and bring peace, to put that armor back around the world just to save what's remaining of humanity from itself, maybe they turned Ultron back on or something. And they needed him to help.
Wow, that's a fascinating and ridiculous notion. With all the crap they took for Ultron and how much deep regret and the world was nearly destroyed and all that kind of stuff, they would not intentionally go back, hey, you know what, let's try that again. They would not do that. I'm not saying Ultron...
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah, but they would not go there. But I will say this. I think there's a possibility there could be a way Ultron comes back. I'm not saying there's not. Certainly not. And I would love it. I just don't think that voice is him.
I don't think that voice is him, but people have talked about Ultron coming back. And I think that Ultron has a long history of taking over the world, or at least trying to. And maybe that's just yet one other, it's part of the shit show that is left after the snap happens. I mean, humanity would not take half the population disappearing. I mean, I watched The Leftovers, man. I hate watch that show. That was 3 seasons of 2% of the population disappearing, and how everybody was morose, and there were cults, and there was all these people killing themselves and smoking cigarettes, and it was all nasty. But it's true, man. There was a cult of people. There was a cult of the guilty remnant. It was called the guilty remnant, and they smoked cigarettes and didn't talk. And that was 2% of the people disappeared. But half the population of the earth, I mean, half the people are going to think God came and did it. Half the population is going to think that it was, who knows? And the Avengers are going to have to deal with that. I wouldn't want to deal with that. Turn on Ultron, have him deal with that.